For thousands of years, humanity has gazed at the stars wondering if we are truly alone. Once, these encounters were mere campfire tales, but today, they are captured in high definition on the world's most advanced military sensors. We are witnessing objects that defy the laws of physics, accelerating at impossible speeds and vanishing into thin air. Are we being watched? Join us as we dive into 10 undeniable cases where UFOs were caught on camera, forcing even the world's superpowers to confront the truth. Before we reveal the evidence, please like this video, subscribe for more investigations, and comment below. Do you believe we are being visited? Now let's begin. 1. The Tic Tac, a dogfight with the impossible. Imagine you are a Top Gun pilot, but flying the most sophisticated machinery man has ever built. You're over the Pacific, the sun is high, and suddenly your radar pings. We begin our journey in 2004 with the USS Nimitz encounter, perhaps the most significant turning point in modern history. Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich were diverted to investigate a real-world contact, and what they saw defied every textbook in flight school. A smooth, white oblong object, roughly 40 feet long and shaped exactly like a Tic Tac mint, was hovering just above the churning whitewater of the ocean. It had no wings, no rotors, and no visible means of propulsion. But here's where it gets chilling. When Fravor tried to get closer, the object didn't just fly away, it mirrored his movements. It seemed to know his intent. Then, in a blink, literally a fraction of a second, it vanished, reappearing seconds later on radar at his Cappy point, 60 miles away. How can a physical object move at thousands of miles per hour without creating a sonic boom? This wasn't a glitch. It was a masterclass in a technology that makes our F-18s look like paper airplanes. This encounter wasn't just a sighting, it was a confrontation with a physics we don't yet understand. 2. The gimbal, defying the laws of aerodynamics. Why is the gimbal video so haunting? Because it provides the one thing skeptics always demand: raw, multi-sensor data. Captured in 2015 by a Navy VFA-11 jet, this footage shows a dark, disc-like shape silhouetted against the clouds. As you listen to the leaked cockpit audio, you can hear the genuine shock in the pilots' voices. "Look at that thing, dude," one exclaims, as they realize they aren't looking at a lone drone, but an entire fleet appearing on their radar. But watch the center of the screen closely. The object is cruising at high speed, seemingly skipping along the atmosphere, and then it does something impossible. It tilts. It rotates nearly 90 degrees on its axis while maintaining a steady forward trajectory. To a physicist, this is a nightmare. Conventional aircraft must bank to turn, using their wings to generate lift. This object? It rotates as if it's sitting on an invisible gimbal, ignoring the wind and the drag of the air. It suggests that this craft isn't pushing against the air at all, it might be manipulating gravity itself. When you see a metallic saucer-shaped craft rotating mid-flight on a military-grade infrared camera, the weather balloon excuse simply falls apart. We are looking at a machine that treats our atmosphere like a vacuum. 3. The Phoenix Lights, a city under watch. Have you ever felt the skin-crawling sensation of being watched? Now imagine that feeling shared by an entire metropolitan city. On the night of March 13, 1997, thousands of residents in Phoenix, Arizona, stepped out of their homes to witness something that shouldn't exist. This wasn't a grainy dot in the distance. This was a massive V-shaped city in the sky. Witnesses described a craft the size of multiple football fields, so large it blocked out the stars as it glided silently over their heads. What makes the Phoenix Lights a cornerstone of UFO history is the sheer scale of the evidence. And from suburban families to police officers and pilots, the descriptions were identical. 5 distinct lights in a fixed triangular formation, moving at a walking pace without a single sound. The government's response? They claimed it was flares dropped by an A-10 Warthog. But ask yourself, do flares stay in a perfect geometric formation for hours? Do flares block out the stars? Years later, the governor of Arizona, Fife Symington, who had initially mocked the event with a space alien skit, came clean. He admitted he saw the craft himself and that it was otherworldly. He had lied to prevent public panic. When a massive craft can park itself over a major U.S. city and the government's only response is a joke, you have to wonder what they are truly afraid of. 4. The USS Nimitz, the Transmedium Enigma. We often think of the final frontier as the stars above, but what if the mystery is hiding right beneath the waves? Let's return to the Pacific, where the USS Nimitz carrier strike group encountered something even more baffling than a flying object. Radar operators had been tracking multiple anomalous aerial vehicles for days, watching them drop from 80,000 feet, the edge of space, down to the ocean surface in less than a second. But here is the part that will make your hair stand on end. The objects didn't just stop at the water, they went into it. When pilots arrived at the coordinates, they saw a disturbance in the water the size of a Boeing 737, with whitewater breaking over a submerged object. Then the tic-tac rose out of the depths and began its aerial dance. And this is what experts call transmedium capability. Our most advanced submarines struggle with the immense pressure of the deep, and our fastest jets struggle with the friction of the air. Nothing we own can transition between the two without losing speed or structural integrity. Yet these objects move through water and air as if the medium doesn't exist. It suggests a propulsion system that creates a vacuum or a gravitational bubble around the craft. If an intelligence can operate as easily in our oceans as it does in our skies, then no corner of our planet is truly private. 5. Rendlesham Forest, Britain's Roswell. Can you imagine walking through a quiet forest and coming face to face with a craft from another world? In December 1980, near RAF Bentwaters, a joint US-UK military base, that is exactly what happened. This isn't just a light-in-the-sky story, it is a boots-on-the-ground investigation by highly trained military police. Over several nights, strange lights descended into the woods. When security personnel, including Sergeant Jim Peniston, went to investigate, they didn't find a crashed plane. They found a triangular metallic craft sitting on 3 legs, etched with strange hieroglyphic-like symbols. Peniston later claimed he actually touched the hull, describing it as smooth like black glass. But the real clincher for the Rendlesham Forest incident isn't just the eyewitness testimony, it's the physical receipts. The following morning, investigators found 3 clear depressions in the frozen ground where the legs had rested. Even more chilling, either Geiger counters picked up radiation levels significantly higher than the background environment, centered exactly where the craft had been. When the deputy base commander, Colonel Charles Halt, recorded his live audio while chasing these glowing orbs through the trees, his voice wasn't filled with excitement. It was filled with a cold military realization that they were being monitored by a superior force. This wasn't a hallucination. It left footprints. 6. Mexico Air Force, the Invisible Fleet. Have you ever wondered if there are things standing right in front of you that your eyes simply cannot see? In March 2004, a Mexican Air Force Merlin C-26A was on a routine patrol looking for drug smugglers. They were using high-tech forward-looking infrared FLIR cameras to scan the horizon. Suddenly, the screen lit up. They were being trailed by 11 bright, hot objects. The pilots scrambled, looking out their windows to identify the interceptors. The terrifying reality? The sky was empty. Visually, there was nothing but blue sky and clouds, but on the infrared equipment, there was a fleet of glowing spheres surrounding the plane, matching their speed and altitude with predatory precision. This encounter highlights a frightening possibility. These objects may possess cloaking technology that renders them invisible to the human eye but leaves a heat signature that our sensors can pick up. The Mexican Ministry of Defense was so baffled that they did something unprecedented. They released the footage to the public and asked for international help to explain it. If they are here and they can choose when to be seen, how many times have they hovered over our cities or our military bases while we looked right through them, completely oblivious to the watchers in the dark? 7. The Chilean Navy, the mystery of the chemical trail. In November 2014, a Chilean Navy helicopter was patrolling the coast when the crew spotted something that would haunt them for years. High above the horizon, a flat, elongated object was cruising at the same speed as the chopper. For nearly 10 minutes, the technicians tracked it with a sophisticated thermal camera. But then, the object did something that left the experts at the CEFAA, Chile's official UFO research body, completely speechless. As the camera rolled, the object suddenly ejected a massive plume of unidentified material into the air. On the infrared screen, this gas, or plasma, glowed with intense heat, trailing behind the craft like a chemical shadow. It wasn't an exhaust trail from a combustion engine, it was something else entirely. After 2 years of intense investigation involving astrophysicists and aeronautical engineers, the Chilean government admitted they had no explanation. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't space debris, and it wasn't a weather balloon. It was a solid, structured craft discharging a substance that behaved like no known fuel on Earth. When a sovereign nation officially labels a video unidentified after years of scientific scrutiny, you have to ask, what kind of engine leaves a signature like that? 8. JAL Flight 1628, Terror over Alaska. Have you ever looked out of an airplane window and felt a sudden jolt of unease? Now, I'd imagine you are the captain of a Boeing 747 cargo jet, and you see a craft twice the size of an aircraft carrier flying right alongside you. This was the nightmare of Captain Kenju Terauchi in 1986. While flying over the dark, frozen wilderness of Alaska, Flight 1628 was intercepted by two walnut-shaped objects that danced around the massive jet as if it were standing still. But the real terror began when a third, much larger mothership appeared. Captain Terauchi described it as a giant silhouette lined with hundreds of small, glowing lights. For over 50 minutes, this titan shadowed the 747. This wasn't just a visual sighting. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, and military radar at Elmendorf Air Force Base confirmed the presence of a massive primary return right where the pilot said it was. Despite the radar data and the testimony of a veteran pilot, the official report later tried to blame the incident on ice crystals reflecting light. But ice crystals don't show up on radar, and they certainly don't follow a plane for 400 miles. Captain Terauchi's career was sidelined for speaking out, but his courage gave us one of the most documented civil aviation encounters in history. 9. The Belgium Wave. A nation hunted. What happens when an entire country is invaded by objects that can outmaneuver the fastest fighter jets in the world? From late 1989 to 1990, the tiny nation of Belgium became the center of a massive UFO wave. Over 13,000 people reported seeing large, silent triangular crafts with a pulsing red light in the center. As the situation became so intense that the Belgian Air Force was forced to scramble F-16 interceptors to reclaim their airspace. In a dramatic dogfight caught on radar, the F-16s managed to lock onto the objects. But the data that came back was terrifying. The UFOs began to move in ways that would have liquefied a human pilot. They dropped from 10,000 feet to 500 feet in less than 5 seconds, accelerating from 280 kilometers per hour to an incredible 1,800 kilometers per hour in a heartbeat. The Belgian Air Force Chief, Colonel Wilfried de Brouwer, did something rare. He went public. He showed the radar tracks to the world, admitting that the military was completely powerless against this technology. This wasn't a one-off sighting. It was a months-long demonstration of aerial superiority. When an entire NATO Air Force admits they cannot catch or identify what is flying over their capital city, the reality of the phenomenon becomes impossible to ignore. 10. Recent UAP disclosures. The government speaks. For decades, if you talked about UFOs, you were often met with a smirk and a comment about little green men. But have you noticed how the conversation has suddenly changed? We are living in an era of unprecedented transparency. In recent years, the Pentagon has shifted from a policy of total denial to one of cautious admission. They no longer call them UFOs. They are now UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. This isn't just a change in branding, it's a change in reality. In 2021 and 2023, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released reports that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They admitted that there are hundreds of sightings by military personnel that remain unexplained. More importantly, they acknowledged that these objects represent a safety of flight issue and a national security challenge. Then came the bombshell testimony from whistleblowers like David Grush, a former intelligence officer who claimed under oath that the government has recovered non-human craft and biological remains. Whether or not you believe every claim, one fact is now undeniable. The highest levels of the world's most powerful governments are taking this seriously. They are no longer asking if these things exist, but what they are and where they come from. The tinfoil hat has been replaced by congressional hearings. What is the final verdict? From military footage to radar traces, the evidence points to three haunting possibilities. Is it secret human tech? Unlikely, given these sightings date back to the 1940s. Is it natural phenomena? Lightning and plasma don't fly in formation or outmaneuver fighter jets. That leaves the most world-altering conclusion: non-human intelligence. Whether they are from another planet, another dimension, or even our own future, we are clearly sharing our skies with something else. But instead of fear, we should feel a sense of wonder. The universe is far more mysterious than we ever dared to imagine. So, the next time you see a light that defies logic, don't look away. Keep your camera ready. The truth isn't just out there. It's being recorded frame by frame. We are not alone. We never have been.